And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Web3 DJs. Super pumped to have our guest today. We have Pio, if I'm saying this right, Vincenzo.
Yeah, there you go.
Co-host of the Nifty Alpha morning Twitter Spaces. Also, the YouTube show, the Nifty Alpha. I'm so excited to talk to you. I have so many questions today. And I just want to start by thanking you for coming on. We know that you're busy. You've had 4 other shows today. You're a machine. So thank you so much. We appreciate your time. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm over here with the webcam and stuff. Nick's giving me another camera this weekend because I got a new laptop. So you're getting a very informal, I'm wearing a Champion hoodie. You see my closet and everything. It's an informal version of me right now, but hey, let's rock and roll.
That's the best version.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, I know a lot of people like to think of these things as like interviews. We prefer to think of it as just like a bunch of dudes hanging out, right? Basically the same sort of conversation as if we were at the bar, dinner, you know, whatever that sort of looks like. And I think that natural feel is where we'll get the best kind of content. So yeah, let's get right into it, Pio. I'll be honest with you, man. Hofsha's been talking about you ever since I first joined the space. Really, like he's the one who onboarded me, and he's been following you the whole time. When I hopped on, your shows had like 300 or 400 followers, or 304 people joining per show, and now you're up to like 2,000 consistently. So it's really awesome to see that growth. But before we hop into that, who is Pio? You know, where are you from? Who was Pio before Web3? Talk to us a little bit about that.
A jackass.
That makes the best Web3 persona for sure.
Yeah. No, like, you know, I always, I never like wanted to have like a job, you know? And I consider myself like a creative person. And so when I was like 19, 20, I was like, yo, like I gotta be a music video director. Like that's it. Like that was what I was doing. And I spent like the next 5 years of my life. I moved out to LA. You know, I did the whole thing. I was doing videos in New York, LA, Boston, where I grew up. And that was it. It was like to be a film director, specifically music videos at first, but like graduate to film. And then in LA, it's like, you know, it's such a hard business, the music industry, you know, and even musicians aren't making any money in the music industry. So, you know, the crew, you know, the directors and stuff, they're not making any money except for a few of them. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up having to like get a job to make money. And then I did that for a while. And then in like March 2020, when the market crashed and like COVID hit and everything, like Michael Saylor, I always say that me and Michael Saylor are in the Bitcoin class of 2020. That was when I found Bitcoin. I started learning about Bitcoin and accumulating Bitcoin. And then by late 2020, like October, November, I heard the Koch Foster twins, who are the co-founders of Nifty Gateway, talk about NFTs, you know, digital art, for the first time on Pomp's podcast, Anthony Pompliano, who's a big-time Bitcoiner. So that's where I got exposure, or just found out what the hell NFTs were. I didn't have the, I wasn't ready to like just ape in right there. And I should have, because like all the stuff from that time ended up having like crazy value. You know, Beeple came out right around that time in December. But by February, I'd bought my first NFT. And by March, you know, this is 2021 now. So like by March 2021, I was already making NFT content. So I've been making NFT content since March 2021.
Dang, that's about right. I came in right around the same time. I think it was March. And it's kind of, it's weird. It's almost nostalgic now to think like it's a year ago, but if you were there, it was like time to be in the NFT space. So let me ask you a question. What was your first NFT that you ever bought?
It was Lavish by Beige, who is a very talented like interior design type artist, and she's married to Fuck Render.
And were you in the art NFT? Is that what you got into first?
I was in like Nifty Gateway. And at that time, that was what they did. They did like these open editions. So you'd buy like a piece of art. I mean, that's what it was. You know, there were like quasi collectibles, but it was like, you know, art, and you would buy it. And then, you know, that same week I bought Genesis .001, which is the first chapter of the Aku, the Moon God series, which people have heard me talk about a lot. So both those purchases were made in February. I ended up spending like 20 grand or something on NFTs in like the first 4 weeks that I was in minute, and then just got completely wrecked when the bubble burst in like March, April. It happened so fast, man. Like I got in early enough that I could have made real money. Like I bought Bitcoin Angel by Trevor Jones. I bought two of them, one at mint price of $777 and one for like $950. And the thing went to like almost $4,000. And I just like diamond handed it. And then the bubble burst and everything came crashing down, you know?
No, I absolutely know. So what was the first content that you were making?
It was like covering Nifty Gateway. It was like, you know, and it was hard because I didn't know that much about NFTs because I was so new to NFTs. So I'd mix in like Bitcoin stuff because I was like more knowledgeable on Bitcoin. Nobody watched my original content. Like I like to this day, like if you look up the channel, there's like 50 views on most of the videos. There's a couple of videos that broke through a little bit, but like I was way worse at content. I was way worse at optimization. You know, it did not get traction.
So what was the thought process though? Like one day you're just like, oh, I'm going to start making content, because you went from something completely different. And it seems like you're on a new career trajectory in the matter of a year.
Well, I mean, yeah, like, you know, being a music video director, right? That's content, right? You're creating with a content partner who is like the musician. And so I had a lot of YouTube experience, specifically YouTube, because you upload the music videos to YouTube.
Right.
And like, you know, with one artist, I generated something like 25 or 30 million views. So I was used to like, you know, having high impact stuff on YouTube. I just wasn't in front of the camera. So then there was a period of time from like maybe 2018, no, it was like 2017 to 2020, where I was like, you know, before the Bitcoin thing, where I was like, I'm going to make cooking videos. Like, this is what I'm going to make.
Sure.
And I shot, I shot a lot of cooking content. I got to dig it up from the hard drive. I never released a single cooking video.
Dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, I edited like 80% of one, and it's like the hardest cooking video you've ever seen, because it's like hip hop music and like, you know, all the skills I got from like directing like really good shots and stuff, you know, even if I do say so myself. So I should dig that up and try to like get that out there, because it's a pretty hard hitting cooking video. And I feel like people will like kind of see like me in the video a little bit, like the character coming through. It's funny how creative stuff, you know, happens like that. Because my friends were saying when they saw some of the videos I made on that original channel where I did more edited stuff, I didn't just do this kind of live podcast stuff the way that we're doing here on your channel, and the way I do, you know, on the channel that, you know, the Nifty channel right now. And those edits, it's like, you know, your creative kind of soul, you know, comes through in that stuff. But yeah, I mean, you know, I never uploaded the cooking video, and then and my friends knew that I was looking at doing it and stuff like that. And then when I was talking about doing NFT videos, I was talking about it for like 2 weeks or something. And one of my friends was like, dude, you got to like do this, right? You can't just talk about it, because he had seen me talk about the cooking stuff forever, right? And so he and I went live on YouTube like one day, and I've basically done an NFT video like every day since, minus, you know, I would love to know how many days since March 2021 I haven't done some kind of YouTube NFT content. I'd be curious to know that, because it's a high percentage of the days, I think.
Man,
yeah, that's one of the things that I've noticed with you guys is you're so consistent, and like you put content out, and I don't think a lot of people understand how much work that takes. Like you're putting well over 8 hours a day into this, guaranteed. And every single morning you guys are up doing this. So like it takes some stamina. Like I admire that. I mean, it's not easy to do.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, like I was working at Robinhood, you know, the app or whatever, the finance app. So I was working at Robinhood until February of this year. Then I quit, and I'm just full-time Web3. But in the fall last year, me and Nick were already working together. So me and Nick started working together in like August on the Nifty. And I mean, that whole time I just worked at Robinhood. So like it was really hard. And I mean, since then, now it's a little tiny bit better, but since then it's basically been that I just work from when I wake up in the morning until I go to bed at night every day. Like the weekends is maybe a 50%, but there's still, you know, there's still a considerable amount of work on the weekends. But Monday through Friday from like September of last year was when it really, really ramped up, from when I woke up in the morning to when I went to bed at night. Just work the whole day, every single day. And now it's I mean, look, we're here, right? It's basically like that. I've done nothing but work today. I walk my dog and shit, but sometimes I'm on calls when I walk my dog. So yeah.
Man, that's exactly what it takes though to be successful, right? You got to have that drive. You got to put in the hours. It's not something that just comes magically. And you look at anybody who has success, right? They're the exact same way as you. They're waking up earlier than anyone else, getting started, and they're ending. Whether it's sports, business, whatever that looks like. They talk about in sports, the last person to leave the gym, the first one to be there, all that sort of thing. I do want to go back to the cooking though, real quick, because I had a fun comment.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm a lot like a sense of, what can I do to take control of my own destiny from a financial perspective, right? And so I've thought like, okay, maybe I should write a book, so on and so forth. And just like you, I started writing a cookbook. I pretty much have it all finished actually, but I'm just like, what do I do with it? Do I really need to, bring it to fruition or that sort of thing? So it's funny that
now you just need to add some hip hop and some like good editing to it, and then you're solid.
Yeah.
Hey man, maybe you missed your calling. Maybe your calling was like making hip hop related music videos on YouTube with an NFT twist. Just saying.
Well, cooking.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely so I'm a creative person, like I'd mentioned, Nick is like, a real like business, sort of like entrepreneur person. Right. And so like my thing is if we're really successful with what we're doing right now, which, I hope we can be, and I'm working really hard to make it so that we're really successful. If there's like an exit or something like that, you won't see me like going to, VCs and stuff, trying to like raise money for like a new business or something like that. It's just going to be creative endeavors, so I would definitely then turn to like a cooking show or something like that, like really creating something that'd be super dope. But, on what you said about, like the volume of content and things like that. I think if someone's a content creator, like I see what you guys are doing with this podcast, the number one thing I'd say to them is try to figure out a way to make the content that you want to make, like you be you, but make it as frictionless as possible, because the friction of the cooking videos is what kept me from doing it. And like when you're a music video director, the amount of friction is like, you can't even describe it. It's so much, right? You're dependent on other people, right? So when I started doing this, I said, I have to be able to do this without any friction. So what do I have here? I'll just show you. Like I'm here at my desk. I got the whole setup right here.
Yeah. What is that? I always see that. Is it like a teleprompter? What is that?
Yeah. So this is a teleprompter that was a waste of money because I've only used it like 2 or 3 times. But actually,
and those are lights.
The lights mount to the teleprompter. So I shouldn't say it's a waste of time because there's this sick lighting setup right here with these. Then the camera's in there. Here's the podcast studio, right? Then the microphone right here, another light mounted right here, the big ass monitor right here.
Yeah.
So everything's right here, right? And then I do live streams, because as soon as you add another layer with editing, holy shit, it's so hard to like consistently get stuff out that's edited. Once you have a budget, then it's a different story. So now that like we have a budget, we have employees, and like, my guy, Eric, shout out to Eric. He's an animal. He uploads our content as a podcast like 15 minutes after it's done. It seems like I literally, I'll go to the restroom and then I'll check on my phone, and the thing I just finished recording is uploaded as a podcast. So once you have a staff, it's different. But when you're working on your own, like editing is so tough, especially if you have a job, if you have a family, if you have any type of social life. Editing is so time consuming, and it just creates this friction, which is why I love live stream. And I love seeing that you guys are doing live streams here.
Dude, what cracks me up about that is I've gone through 3 editing programs. I'm not an editor. What I've learned in business is I need to know enough about it so that I could call BS on someone if they try to pull one over on me. But once I know how to at least understand it, then I try to outsource it. Yeah. But you guys automate, and that's even better. So I have a couple of questions about that. So one, how did you and Nick meet? And then I think Captain Kicks is also involved in that somehow.
He's a co-founder.
So you guys met, created this, and then how did the whole lead up to the NFT project happen?
Yeah, so I was making content on my own in early 2021, like I was talking about, like March, right? And then by like April, May, excuse me, I was making content with these guys, Nifty Culture, right? Shout out to those guys. They had expressed that they were looking for someone that wanted to interview artists in writing, like do written interviews. And I was like, well, I got this video interview. The only video interview I'd done with an artist at that time was this guy, Jonathan Thunder. Shout out to Jonathan from Nifty Gateway, super talented Native American artist. I know you guys are in Albuquerque, so, you know.
Oh, you like this right here? We got the little BMF ranch going on. Shout out,
yeah.
Cowboy.
Fighting this weekend, as a matter of fact. Yeah, it'll be a good one versus Joe Lozon. It should be a nice little route.
Joe Lozon from Boston, from Massachusetts. I think he's from Brockton, Mass. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's been in the game.
A little bit of contention here between the two of you guys. Yeah.
Tio, we're going to have to get you to Albuquerque. We'll take you to Jackson Wing so you can do some rounds. We'll take you out to the ranch.
I've
roll around a little bit. You know, you can't work all the time.
Yo, that guy, I guess it's Greg Jackson. That guy is no bullshit. No bullshit. When I see that guy talk, I don't know if I need to hang out with that guy just because, like, he'll be like, "Who's this silly motherfucker?" You know. But and plus, I'm rehabbing this Achilles. I bumped into a guy from my jujitsu gym the other day when I was walking my dog, and you know how passionate jujitsu guys are. He's telling me to come. He's telling me to come train. I was like, "Dude, you don't understand. I fully ruptured my Achilles like 4 months ago. I cannot do jujitsu right now." You know. But he was like, "Yo, just come watch." I was like, "Dude, I don't got time to do it right now." But I'll be back on the mats absolutely, and I'd love to come out to Albuquerque, and obviously that gym's absolutely legendary. I'm just joking, but I know that they're the real deal over there. I mean, look, if John Jones is in your gym, then that is not anything to mess around with. But yeah. So anyway, back to the story. So I'm making content with these guys, Nifty Culture. This guy, Sophisticated Art Speculator, you know, now known as Kicks. He popped into the Discord. He starts being friendly with us. We're like, this guy's super smart. I start making content with Kicks. So then me and Kicks started making content around May 2021. So at this point, me and Kicks have been working together for like a solid full year, which is kind of crazy to think about, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then I asked Kicks, you know, Speculator at the time, to introduce me to Nick, because I knew who Nick was from being in the space and basically just wanted to get him on the show. I was like interviewing everybody in the space. So I just wanted to get Nick on the show. And Nick was kind of like, yeah, we can do it later. And he just totally blew me off. Totally blew me off. And then I just kept going. You know, I was like, all right, well, I guess that guy's not coming on the show. And I kept going. And we put out an NFT, and I think that kind of like caught Nick's attention. And then Nick like circled back, was like, "Oh, you know, totally forgot about this message, you know, blah blah blah." And then I was like, "Oh, do you want to do like a show? Like not like start a show, just literally like do one." And the first time me and Nick like did either a Twitter space or a YouTube, I forget which one came first. I think probably Twitter space actually came first. Right away, I was like, "Wow, this guy really is like this guy and me have good synergy, but this is like a content person." Like I right away recognized he was the best person that I'd worked with so far at content. Nick was, and second best was Kicks, Speculator. And there's a couple more honorable mentions, but they were like definitely top two. And then from there, we just like got totally addicted to doing the stuff. And before you know it, we were just literally doing a Twitter space every day and a YouTube video every single day. And then, you know, the rest is kind of history. We raised 1.1 million in funding in November. We put the NFT out in January, and it's just kind of been snowballing since then.
Yeah, no, it's been really cool to see. I remember, shoot, I don't even know when that was, but like
you were early, man. You were early.
Yeah,
I remember.
I was in at the very, like I was already maybe a month before the Gutter Cat Gang mint, whatever that was. But
it's a long time ago.
Like right when Bored Ape Yacht Club started. And I went super hard for a year. I mean, I didn't go as hard as, well, yeah, I probably did. I probably threw about 40K into it. I mean, I had like 20 different coins, and pretty soon everything was moved over to Ethereum. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm just putting everything into NFTs, you know? And have you ever gone on Paper Hands GG?
Yeah. Should we do it right now?
Oh, dude, no, it'll make me sick. I did it too, but yeah, no. So, okay. So you and Nick, Matt, you guys did this, but like, so what's Captain Kick's background? Because I know he does Crypto Raiders, but was he like a video game something or other before? Because he does this, but it sounds like he also has like a full-time job running that.
Well, he's the CEO of Crypto Raiders, you know, and they closed a funding round. They're like
6
valued at like
million?
50 million bucks or something, you know, like, so that is like no joke, you know,
Right.
that's a bigger entity than the Nifty is on paper.
Right.
So like he's got a whole thing going. He's a minority partner in the Nifty, but he is a co-founder. And obviously I love having him as a partner. His background is that he's like a serial entrepreneur. He and I are the same age. We're both like 32. And since he was 20, he told me that he's only had a job for like 6 months or something. So you're talking about just serial entrepreneur. And that's where that comes from. He loves video games, but I don't think he had any businesses that were video game businesses. But he's just such a savage when it comes to running businesses and being an entrepreneur that he was able to, you know, dive into the crypto gaming sector, which I wouldn't even know the first thing of how to do something like that. I just could never do something like that. But that's the difference between me and him, is like, I'm a creative content guy. He's like a pure play entrepreneur.
Dude, I crack up so much. Like, I'll just be on my phone, just laughing my ass off. Like in the morning, I have my alarm set to 7 a.m. So I'll be half asleep and I just turn on Nifty Alpha. That's like my morning wake up every single day. And it was funny because I left at the end of last year. I stopped NFTs. I was to the point where I was just not sleeping. I was going so hard. I was like, fuck this, man. I also have a company with 100 people in it, and I'm co-owner of that, and it's like a legitimate business, and trying to do that and then try to flip NFTs full time, it's like, dude, forget it. So every time when you say, you know, you have to be doing this full time, I get exactly what you're saying, and it's so true. I'm like, he's 100% right, because if you're not going to be all in on a project. So I respect that. So you guys formed the Nifty Alpha. Like, what are the plans for the Nifty Alpha? Because we had a phone call at one time, and I remember you saying how you wanted to organically start a project. But since you've been doing it, you've already, how many people are in the Nifty Alpha now? How many employees do you guys have?
We have 2 full-time employees, Eric and Elizabeth. So shout out to them. They're killers, both of them. And then we have, you know, an 8-person mod team. We have a TikTok video editor. We have, you know, we have a software engineer. That's basically the team at this point. But like, you know, we're not opposed to hiring more people. We're going to hire a full-time artist. So that's going to be big. And we might actually, we might have to hire 2. So those are like 2 things that we're looking at now. Once that happens, I think it'll be really good. You know, the burden that someone like Eric takes off of our shoulders is unreal on the operation side. It's really can't be said enough how good of a job he does. And then Elizabeth on the community side, same deal. So like, to have community totally managed by one person, and then have the bulk, the vast majority of operations managed by another person, it's unbelievable. And once we have like the artists to be able to create graphics and assets that we can use for promotional purposes, that we use for like YouTube thumbnails, that we'll use for another NFT project, things like that, then I'm really going to be excited, because, you know, I consider myself to be solid on the content side and on the creative side. So I can kind of, and the people management side. So I can kind of do those 3 things. And then Nick's a savage with technology and business development. And then both of us kind of collab on the big picture stuff. So and Speculator as well on the big picture stuff. So I just think that the combo is well balanced. We're not complete yet. We need an artist or artists, but we're trending in the right direction. And I'm excited to see what the rest of this year and next year look like.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I kind of want to ask you a question here, especially since you brought up Elizabeth and her role with your community. When I first entered the NFT space, I think that was kind of like one of the largest buzzwords is community, community, community. It's all about, you know, so on and so forth. You guys really do have a strong community. You guys have, again, like I said earlier, 2,000 people who are dedicating their mornings to hearing you guys talk, right? If you really boil it down.
Yeah.
You launched an NFT. When did you decide that your community was strong enough to go ahead and like do this, to, you know, have and support a successful project like you guys have put up? And I'm going to pull it up here right now as well.
I'd say like the Discord numbers gave us like a really good indication, because the Discord, like, you know, we went from like 3,000 to 18,000 Discord members in like a 3-month period or something like that. So it was like really parabolic growth. And that comes from the content. The content's like the glue, right? Because it's an anchor for everybody to be able to refer to. Everybody shares that. It's like, you know, if you're really into Game of Thrones and someone else is super into Game of Thrones, well, there's some common ground that you guys can chat about, you know? And it's the same thing as like people that show up to like Magic the Gathering and stuff. If you have that unifier, it really, really helps build a community. And then before you know it, you know, you got 18,000 people. Those are all human beings. There's so many variables. So this little group of people forms, and this friendship forms, and this relationship forms and shit, you know, like it's kind of crazy. Yeah, once we had like 18K in the Discord and we had been talking about doing an NFT and there was real interest in an NFT, at that point, I was pretty comfortable with putting one out because I'd seen firsthand when you have like 2,000 people in a Discord, how much sales volume you can drive to an NFT. So when we had that much, it was like, yeah, we're going to be able to put this out. You know, everybody wants to sell it out right away, you know, sure. So you make money, but more importantly, so that, you know, you will be able to sell out, because everyone knows you don't want the project just sitting there for a while, not sold out. So yeah, I mean, we knew we were ready based on the community and Discord sentiment and numbers.
Yeah, I tell everybody, I'm like, if you want to learn NFTs, if you want to see what a good project looks like, get in the Nifty portal. Like,
man, he is not lying. I'm not kidding. He has told me several times, if you look at his portfolio, that this is the one that has provided him the most value. So why don't you talk to us about your project? What exactly is this NFT? I don't want to, for lack of a better phrase, why should someone buy it? You know, what is the benefits of purchasing one of the Nifty portals?
Yeah. I mean, so like to what you're talking about and what Hofstra was just talking about is like, at the end of the day, you know, what you get when you join our community is it is a passionate community where it's like the real deal NFT market in there, like as in the people that are deploying capital. What I've learned from making content and being an NFT person is that there's actually a lot of people that are in the NFT space, but they're not really like deploying capital, which is totally fine, right? However, NFT projects want to attract people that deploy capital, right? Like if someone's making an NFT project, they want to sell it. That's what they want to do. So the market participants that really matter are the ones that deploy capital. And when I talk to, you know, I've been talking to like people like professional athletes, musicians, people from different fields that have interest in coming into the NFT space. And the way I kind of lay it up to them is I actually, of all things, I use mixed martial arts as a comparison, because everybody knows that mixed martial arts fans are different than the fans of other sports, right? And I'm a lifelong I'm a lifelong basketball fan. Like I mentioned, I popped my Achilles playing hoop, but I got into martial arts in my like mid to late 20s, right? And both as a fan and as a participant, like training. And it's just different, you know, like there's passionate basketball fans that are like Kobe versus LeBron and Michael Jordan versus LeBron, like all this. But the MMA fans, it's different. I think because the stakes are so high for the sport, because it's so personal, you know, a fighter is literally putting themselves out there basically the most that you possibly can. You're an individual, you're fighting another person in your underwear in front of thousands of people, millions at home. It's just a gnarly thing to do. You've put so much work in. It's literally an art form. You're showcasing your art with pain and putting your body on the line. So I think that MMA fans have this certain level of being hardcore. And if you remember, you know, and there's the whole casual versus hardcore fan, that whole thing where people will get called casuals, you know? Yeah, I'm definitely.
Yeah, they're not watching early prelims, and the main card and shutting Saturday down.
Yeah, me and my homies
they're tuning in for a pay-per-view once a month.
Yeah, exactly.
My homies and I have a group, and we call ourselves the Filthy Casuals, you know, in lieu of that thing. But definitely big hardcore MMA guy here.
Okay. Well, I have to say that I'm a casual, because if I said that I was a hardcore, then the whole hardcore community would be like, get the hell out of here, you know? So for all intents and purposes, I'm a casual. But the point I'm making is that, like, you know, when Stephen A. Smith, the guy on ESPN that like talks about basketball, big personality, when he came and they tried, after ESPN acquired the UFC or Disney acquired the UFC, the MMA fans like kicked him out after, I think it was one event. It might have been two, but I think it might have been one that they were just like,
no, I remember that. I was like, dude, I don't know how this is going to work, but yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, and Joe Rogan's talking about it. Everyone's just basically like, it didn't work, right? It's because the MMA fans, you know, they can sniff out any sort of like BS, or, you know, you have to have substance for the MMA fans to accept you. And my belief is that the NFT market participants, the people that are deploying capital, are basically identical to the MMA fans, where they can detect if you're not a real NFT person in a heartbeat. If you don't, if they can tell if you don't have your finger on the pulse of the NFT market, and then, you know, you can't win them over until you can genuinely communicate that that's the case. And they're always going to be able to sniff it out. So our community are real people. They're the hardcore MMA fans of the NFT community. There's some actual MMA fans in there too, but they're the hardcore fans of the NFT community. And so that's why, and the level of activity is really, really strong. Like right now, I have the Discord pulled up. It's like new message,
Dude,
new
it's
message,
insane.
new
Any
message.
time of day you go in there in Portal Chat, and it's just ding, 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 and it's responsive, dude. People are like always in there, and big names. You got Benjamin popping in. You've got everybody on the show. Easy's always in there. You guys are always in there. So it's no BS. Like the real deal people are in your space. And I've noticed a shift. Actually, recently, I've seen a lot of people kind of looking towards you guys almost as like a front runner of certain things. I mean, I'm not going to say any names, but I really think that people are recognizing that like what you guys bring to the table is legit. Everything that you guys talk about, all the resources, the people that are in there. If you want to know what's going on in the NFT space, that's the place to be.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I guess the other piece that I'd bring up, and this is on the content side, is that I think we're like one of the only entities in the NFT space that like properly runs shows. And this is the content background that I talked about coming into play, right? Like I've listened to podcasts a ton. I've always just been like a creative, like kind of person. And I love the medium of podcasting, right? So I've paid attention to how podcasting works. There was a period of time where I'd seen like every single interview with Quentin Tarantino, right? When I was like trying to do the filmmaking thing, like there was not any interview content with Quentin Tarantino that I had not seen like at a point in time. And so you see him on shows like Howard Stern. Like I think Howard Stern, if you're trying to do Twitter Spaces, Howard Stern is like a really good comparison, because something like Twitter Spaces is actually a new art form where it's this decentralized live podcast where there's one person as a host and all these random people can just show up, and you have to navigate those waters with these people that you don't know. Howard Stern's not that extreme, but when you think about what he used to do, he'd have the guests come on, he's interviewing them, then he's got Artie Lang over cracking jokes, and then, you know, he's got his sidekick, the lady over there cracking jokes, and what's his name? Baba Booey's over there. Like the whole squad is there, and he's kind of managing that while still leading. That's what we try to do on the show. And so one thing I talk about is like, if you go into a Twitter Spaces that's not ours, very often you hear a lot of dead air. Like you'll just hear like this.
Yep.
And it's like, no one wants to listen to that. And in our show, like, for example, one time in the past week, I was like answering a DM, which is something I shouldn't be doing because I really try to listen, like really listen the whole show. Like I'm literally here. I'll stare at the microphone so that I'm not distracted by the screens. So I just really listen to what someone's saying. So I can either add, or I can throw to somebody else, or I can come right in, or I can wait for a split second and see if someone else comes in. Right. But like I was answering a DM and there was like 1 or 2 seconds of dead air, and it like reminded me of other Twitter Spaces. And I was like, that was absolutely terrible. I'm sure no one in the audience left that show being like, yo, that guy left 2 seconds of dead air one time. Screw this guy. You know, I know that that's not the case, but for me, like I never, ever, ever want to have dead air. And I want the show to flow from beginning to end when I play music at the beginning and when I play music at the end.
Yeah, no, I mean, you could tell you guys definitely have a format that's different. I notice it when I hop in. I'm like, you know, there's such a higher level of quality, and you guys continue to evolve. That's the coolest part. And now you got your sponsorships with FTX. I was on one yesterday, and you were talking about who's the guy that you guys are partnering with, the Comic-Con, like a pretty legit.
Yeah, Garib Seamus. We're doing a live show talking about that project tomorrow night. It's the first time that we've done something like this where we actually like partner with the project and we're like advisors and media partners. But we just thought it was appropriate to do because Garib, he comes from like he's like early Comic-Con. He's produced like 180 Comic-Con conventions. He also had a fight league. I did.
Yeah,
I just
I was trying to tell Sticky. Which one was that again?
I don't even know. I don't remember, man. But like when he told me that, because I made the same comparison to him in like an advisory call about the MMA fans, and then he's like, "Yeah, I had a fight league," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that, dude." So he understands that. I forget what it's called, like not PFL, but I don't know what it was. It got absorbed by Fox or something. I don't know. I should ask him about it. But he also had a magazine. What's the baseball card magazine? Is it called like? So he had that for comic books called Wizard.
Right.
And that was him.
Well, how did that whole thing come to be? I mean, that's like kind of a I don't know. It just seems like two polar opposite type things. I mean, I get how they connect.
The fighting thing?
How did you guys meet? Like, how did that whole thing come to be?
Well, we met because he's entering the NFT space, and like he's like, dude, comic books are traditional collectibles, right? So there's a lot of parallels, just like there's sneakers, comic books, baseball cards, like toys, like Star Wars toys and all that. All that falls under traditional collectibles, and NFT space is digital collectibles. So you're going to see more. Gary V is a juggernaut from traditional collectibles that came into digital collectibles. So is Garib. You're going to see more people from traditional collectibles come into digital collectibles. My guy Franelations coming from the sneaker world, just crushing it in NFTs. Same deal. So when we found out that Garib was coming in and he was interested in working with us, he was already also working with Zeneca. I was like, yeah, and we wanted to talk to him. We really got a good vibe from him, and we felt like it was a cool project. So that's why we kind of took the leap and did the whole partnership thing, which we hadn't done before.
Yeah, that's actually a really great point, though, that you brought up about how traditional collectors are now moving to the digital space, because it's not just the collectors, the suppliers as well, right? I mean, if you ask people about their first NFT, a number of people are going to say an NBA Top Shot, whether they realize it or not, right? Yep. UFC is doing it now with UFC Strike, and so it is really interesting to see that, it's all moving here from both sides of the spectrum.
So I value your opinion. So I have two questions. First is, in a perfect world, if the Nifty portal accomplishes everything that you guys want to do, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think that looks like a BuzzFeed or like a Barstool Sports level entity on the content side, which is an ambitious goal, right? And then on the NFT side, it's like a really well-oiled machine like VaynerMedia. I mean, right now, VaynerMedia on the NFT side, right? Not the agency side of VaynerMedia, because I want to do much more scalable stuff. That's why I said Barstool Sports, BuzzFeed type of thing. But on the NFT side, I really do respect the hell out of what Gary has done, and the structure that he does right now is basically a low. But I mean, VFriends cost like, I don't know, 10 ETH or something like that. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I'm buying VFriends too right now. I bought a few earlier this week because they're like 0.8 or whatever, and VCon's coming up. So I have to think that there's going to be a pump or something into that, right? And so right now we're talking about a low on that, but it really was a very well done ecosystem. I mean, I shouldn't even say up until this point, because it's still very well done. But yeah, so basically a robust NFT vertical that has whole and complete tokenomics, and then, BuzzFeed, Barstool type content. And then, I mean, community, just continuing to expand our community. I guess you would say like proof level community, even though we don't have the same firepower that proof does, in the sense that like the holders are diamond handed like VCs that let this thing go to 100 ETH. We don't have that right now, but I think that we have a stronger community. Like, I'm pretty sure if you look inside, I haven't been in Proof's Discord. I know some people that have Proof. I could ask them, but I'm pretty sure you'd see like more conversation, more chatter, more fun happening in our community than in Proof's.
And more memes for sure.
Definitely more memes. That's for sure.
Okay. So question 2 would be, okay, we're a year in the NFT space.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything is speculative, but a year from now, what do you think the space looks like?
I think there's more big brands in it, because like right now we got Nike, we got Gucci, there's Dolce and Gabbana just came in, but I mean, the only big brands that are doing it really well are like Nike, because they bought Artifact, Gucci because they partner with 10KTF. I mean, Bobby Hundreds came through, but that wasn't a big brand, so that was more of a natural, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just think that there's going to be big brands that come in. I think Disney needs to like make a big entrance, and the NBA
Did Disney buy Vivi or something like that?
Yeah, but I feel like you'll see Disney NFTs on Ethereum too. Like what I'm saying is like it'll appeal to the broader NFT market because Vivi's like super niche, and there's hardcore Vivi fans and people that only mess with Vivi, but I feel like you're going to see Disney have like the one Ethereum Disney pass. That is the key to the Disney world of NFTs. And they're probably waiting because they're smart and they don't want to mess it up. Like the NBA can't figure it out, man. They know how to make money with NFTs, like with Top Shot, but they just can't figure out how to have like a monster success NFT project where the holders also win in a really big way. You know, like that most recent one is so dumb that they put out like it just goes to zero immediately.
What is it called? Like the
association.
The association. Well, that was a free mint anyway, so
I guess it's okay that it goes to zero. It's like you don't want to be putting out NFTs, whether they're free or not, that just horribly go to zero within 2 weeks. It's just that's not the approach. You know, like I'm not going to go to a consulting meeting with the NBA and be like, so we want your NFT to go to zero. It's just not. That's not the strategy. You know, so like they need to figure out how to not make NFTs go to zero.
Okay, yeah, so I got a third question as a follow up to that. So you see a lot of projects come out hot, 3 months, maybe 6 months, die out. Why do you think some projects succeed and some projects fail or lose momentum?
Like business acumen and team, you know, because if you're not like an artist like Beeple or Ferocious or, you know, insert like the guy that made Fidenza, like Tyler Hobbs, if you're not just pure play fine art, then you're running a business. That's what the deal is. Even if your business puts out an NFT that has really good art and you're an artist, it's still a business. Like once you sell 8,000 or 10,000 NFTs and you rake in like 7 or 8 million bucks on a primary sale, like some of these projects have done, others bring in 3 or 4, it's still a lot of money. Like go tell someone that I know you have a business, Hofstra. Like imagine if someone just came through and made 3 million with your business. I'm pretty sure that there'd be an expectation of delivery afterwards, right? So the business acumen part is really like what is the separator. And you look at the things that are really doing well now, something like 10KTF that traded sideways forever, all of a sudden is having this monster coming out party and has so much like heat on it right now, you know? And that's because like DYOR is a co-founder and Beeple is an artist and a co-founder, but they have a whole squad of like really heavy hitters from the business world running it. So those are the things that are going to last for years. You know, these are startups, you know, so that's, in my opinion, the difference.
Yeah, you nailed it. I think the business acumen is definitely one of the largest differentiators. And on top of that, that's exactly why a company like Disney has not entered yet. You know, we talk all the time on this show about one of the founding principles of Walmart, a huge company, arguably, you know, one of the most successful companies in the world. And they literally tell all of their employees when they onboard, steal shamelessly. Look at what other companies are doing, steal it and make it better for Walmart. And so let's take the Bored Ape Yacht Club, the other side example, what just happened with that giant gas war. If you don't think Disney is going to sit down and look at that and learn from it and, you know, leverage the opportunities that the other side just had when they launched their project, you know, you're out of your mind. That's exactly what they're doing. They're going to enter when they have, you know, all their ducks in a row and they feel like the time is right, when they've learned from everyone else's mistakes so that they can come in and, you know, capitalize on that. And so you also talked about how much you think the space is going to evolve, how much the space has evolved in just the last year, how much your show has grown. What opportunities are you guys facing currently or in this next, you know, year of the market? What opportunities do you guys see?
Yeah, I think that we need to continue to grow our audience on the content side. I think that we need to get guests on the show that are bigger and bigger celebrities, basically, just like key, interesting people that have a lot to share on the show, not share like shill a project, but share their perspectives, their opinions, whatever field they're from. I'd love to have a notable MMA fighter on the show and just chat, just talk about like, what it's like to be a fighter, the business side of it, how they think NFTs might be able to help. I mean, what I was going to say for you guys is like, I think that you guys should have fighters on your show. And even if they know nothing about NFTs, you should just talk to them about it and have them ask questions and like, just like talk things over. And I feel like you guys could have a really cool show where you onboard fighters to the NFT space and give this different perspective. It's like almost like a business show for MMA fighters. And the cool thing is it's like a niche vertical for one of basically the top 3 hottest, fastest growing sports in the world. Gary Vee says the 3 biggest sports in the world in 10 years will be soccer, basketball, and MMA. And I agree with him. And out of those 3, which one's having the most quote unquote price discovery? It's got to be MMA. I mean, look, my parents are from Italy. Soccer is the biggest sport like in the world. All of South America is obsessed with soccer. All of Europe's obsessed with soccer. The United States is starting to become obsessed with soccer. Basketball, same deal. International game, China, Europe, Africa, North America. It's huge. MMA is the one that's growing the fastest. So you're in that niche vertical. Before you know it, if you guys get a big audience, you can go on a show like Joe Rogan's show, which is the biggest show in the world, but you have this kind of cheat code to be able to flip other people because he has an MMA version of the show. So for example, a former music video director, I believe his name is Will Harris, maybe the guy from the Anatomy of a Fighter. I don't remember exactly what his name is. I think
I know exactly who you're talking about. The guy with the slick back hair, good looking dude.
No, Anatomy of the Fighter. It's like a 6'6" dude that played college basketball that directed hip hop music videos. And yeah, he does
Anatomy. I'm writing that down. I don't know. I'm Anatomy of a Fighter.
Anatomy of a Fighter. It's really good YouTube documentaries made by one guy, and he went on Joe Rogan's show, because those documentaries, like he rocked with Khabib for a long time. Like he went to Dagestan with Khabib, which is, I mean, dude, that's like a huge spot, like
I know crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's being Khabib's videographer. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it. I know that much. I would not be able to pull that off because those guys are so intense. You're rocking with the champion, man, the champion of all champions. That is all level stuff. And I feel like if you fuck something up, you're just out of there like that. But yeah, if you guys, all of a sudden you work on that niche and it's interesting and it's good content and you two have good chemistry and the fighters enjoy coming on and you're getting bigger and bigger fighters and the conversations are getting more and more interesting and the word gets out, then you can use that cheat code in this niche where you can go on Kenny Florian's podcast and Ariel Hawani's and then Joe Rogan. And all of a sudden you're on the biggest podcast in the whole world because you're in the vertical that podcast host works in and is interested in.
Dude, it's so funny. Like you literally took what I have in my head out. We've talked about this. I didn't want to do anything until I had a couple reps. We're kind of new to this. I'm like, I'm not going to bring on one of my buddies and then just look like a complete idiot. I needed to get some reps under my belt, because you get one shot, but definitely it's there. We just have to make the phone calls and yeah. So right now we're just like you said, we're learning the craft. We're trying to get better. We're just doing this. And honestly, you're one of the inspirations. You're the one that told us about Restream, and actually, that's the coolest thing about you. A lot of people aren't like that, man. A lot of people don't want to share information. A lot of people don't want to help, right? Or blow you off. And you've always been someone, and I think it's consistent because I've seen you do it with other people where you truly want to see people succeed. And it's like, I know it's competition, even with like you and Farouk, but everybody's winning. There's so much that you can do in this space right now. And it's so new and there's so much content that needs to be made that, I really appreciate you always, listening or giving advice or whatever it is. And I know you're doing that for other people. And I think that's really cool.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, man. Two things on that is like, number one, people that don't share information like that, that's a scarcity mentality. And the only way to be successful is to have a mentality of abundance. And if you listen to any Tony Robbins or Gary Vaynerchuk or Joe Rogan or all these people that Tim or Sam Harris, I don't remember, Tim Ferriss, Sam Harris, one of those guys, they talk about abundance. and you want to live life with a mentality of abundance, no one gets anywhere with a mentality of scarcity. Scarcity implies that there's not enough to go around, and it implies that you should limit yourself. It implies that you should put limitations. You're not going to be massively successful if you have a scarcity mentality. The other thing is, like, you know, you see this in the music world a lot. It's like, if you telling something to someone else would then lead to them just being way more successful than you, then you have a lot to work on yourself, you know? So at the end of the day, like, that's like how it works. And then the second part is, like, you brought up Farouk and the fact that, like, we're like competitors in the content world. It actually works a little bit different than I think a lot of people think about. And I know this because, you know, I'm 32. I first started in the content world when I was literally like 19 or 20. So I'm like 13 years into it. And one of like the really deep principles is that in content, collaboration with competitors is actually a really, really good thing, because all it is an exchange of audiences. And it also is really an exchange of like skill sets. So I can see the way someone like Farouk runs his show. We had Giancarlo buys tokens on our show yesterday. He absolutely fucking killed it. And everyone was like, yo, that was like one of the best shows you've done in a while. He fucking killed it. And he's like basically the biggest NFT YouTuber, I would say, like the biggest channel that only does NFT YouTube. So how would it benefit me from being like, oh, that guy's competition, I don't want to have him on my show, when he comes on the show, murders it? Our audience is like in the Discord being like, that was crazy, you know? And I'm assuming that some of his audience joined us too. I don't know. Like, no one's popped in the Discord been like, I'm here because you had Giancarlo on. But all I know is our audience liked it a lot. So, and I really personally enjoyed it a lot too. So like, I'm going to do that every single time. I'm not going to necessarily give out like the name of the NFT project we're about to do with the whole theme and all the art that we just did 1 week before we put it, or like, you know, a month before we put it out. Right. That wouldn't make sense. But if someone asked me, how do I go about making an NFT project? Yeah, 100%. I'm going to talk to them about it if I have time.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And you go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, I know we want to be respectful with your time. I know you're on a time crunch. Man, I just have two kind of like quick questions. Well, the first one I wanted to get in earlier. You had talked about the desire to maybe, you know, onboard or have an MMA fighter on your show. Man, who would that be? In a perfect, pull someone out. Actually, give me the top three. Like I said, I'm a huge fan, so I just love to hear the names. Give me 2 or 3 that you would love to have on the show.
So this is like for content, right?
Sure. Give me a content and give me a personal fave you'd like to just have on because you want to talk to the guy.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's so many, man. It's such a cool sport. And when you do the sport, like I did Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, and I hopefully will continue once the Achilles is fully healed. You know, it's so incredible. It's so technical. It's a beautiful sport. I know it's like intense and it can be brutal. Look, Khabib is someone for both. Because, like, first of all, for content, he's like super funny.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and when he's funny in another language and another culture. Think about that. Because he's from
Did you see the Full Send podcast with Khabib?
Oh no, I got to see that.
Oh, dude, come on. They got Colby Covington. They've got Khabib. I mean, they're heavy MMA. You'll like it.
Yeah. Awesome. Kobe is a content person's dream because he's so polarizing and he doesn't give a shit. And he understands content. Like, that's a character. That's not the Kobe that like walks around and like, you know, sees his mom. You know what I mean? Like, that's a character, right? So he gets it. I mean, dude, there's so many characters in that space. Masvidal's hilarious. I mean, all these guys. Ben Askren has a podcast and is into Bitcoin. I'd love to have Ben Askren on. I mean, when Carlos came on our show, Carlos Khan did, he was super funny. Like the way he handled, you know, I made a joke. I was like, well, you're like a 14-year MMA vet. You fought Nick Diaz. I'm a white belt in jiu-jitsu. Which one of us would win in a fight? Like the way he handled it was like so funny. Like the tone and the timing, everyone thought it was hilarious, you know? So like, you know, like so many guys, like I love Tony Ferguson. I think he's a badass. On content, he's funny. I'd be a little bit like scared that I might make a joke that would rub him the wrong way. You know, I don't want to piss that guy off.
Too witty.
He is training only in the dead of night now for this Michael Chandler fight. Did you guys hear about that? He's literally training in the dead of night because he said he doesn't want to.
Surprising. Probably in like jeans and like, you know, gloves, but they're like workout, like construction gloves, not. Yeah.
Sounds exactly right. sounds just about right. They said that after he tore his ACL, he did only his own physical therapy. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean?
Do whatever works. Yeah, we're coming up on an hour now. I have one question too.
Sure.
For you. Okay, you got 0.5 ETH.
Mm-hmm.
You got one NFT. That's all the money you have. Which one are you buying?
It's a hard question. I mean, my honest answer would be ours. Like, and that's not even like an ad. I'm just like, that's like automatic for me. Cause at least, you know, we're an actual like company where we're like building stuff. So it's like a real thing. But if I wasn't going to recommend ours, and I even hate saying that response because I feel like that's like what a politician would say and stuff like that. But it's just like the honest to God truth. Look, 10KTF was under a half ETH. That changed pretty quick. That's at like 1.4 ETH now. So that one's out the window. Look, you can buy ApeCoin. It's not an NFT, but you can buy the coin and get exposure to Bored Ape Yacht Club. That's a pretty cool thing to do. Half ETH. I mean, look, let me quickly take a peek.
You got 3 years though. I mean, a lot can change in 3 years. So one that you're banking on long term, set it and forget it.
Yeah, let me see what the hell is on here. That's a half ETH. I mean, look, it's hard. Look at all the top 25 projects. They're all a lot of money. All right, here's one. Something token, because it's Alexis Ohanian from Reddit. Excuse me. That's one.
Is that why that went off? Because that just popped, and I'm like, what's up with this?
Yeah, that's why.
That's Alexis Ohanian's NFT project.
Yep. So that one. And then, I mean, look, man, I'm looking. It's
thin.
Yeah, it's thin. Mirror passes. I don't even know that much about it, but apparently it's
you got to go to like page 500. Well, trust me, I do this every day. I go through like 1 through 1,000 every day.
Yeah, I mean, Mirror Pass, at least it's a utility thing. I don't know if it's going to be around in the future. Look, this 8-bit me thing, it's at 0.86 now. It's just been steadily going down. Maybe it keeps going down. It's a ticket to Kevin Rose's conference next year.
Oh, so, nice. Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's one part of it. But like, yeah, at a half ETH, if that hits, I
paid my VCon. I was so stressed out. I bought at 0.61 and 0.58, and now it's at 0.29. I'm like, fuck,
dude, it's a brutal game. Yeah.
Hey, are you going to be out there, by the way?
Yep. You're going to be there, obviously, right?
Yeah. I'm bringing my daughter, just because like Charlie D'Amelio, I guess, is like all the rage, and like my daughter's summer vacations this year are NFT NYC and VCon.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, TikTokers, I'm sure will be there. It'll be good for your daughter. I got one. Here's the best one under a half ETH besides ours, without question. 10KTF Stockroom, without question. That's it. That's the answer. It's 0.32. Yeah.
Got it written down in my book. Nice. Yep. So
you can get the socks right now for 0.37. That's pretty crazy. And then you can get these the perishable stuff like leather, cotton, and rubber, which you have to think eventually will have a supply squeeze, and you can stake those things. No question, under a half ETH, my response is 10KTF Stockroom.
Love it. Now, Pio, again, like I said, we want to be respectful with your time. But there is one thing we could not let you slide without going over.
And then I want to tell you guys something too. I want to tell you guys something after, but go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got to pull it up now. Everybody wants to know.
This is awesome.
Give us the story. What's going on here?
Look, we really don't have time for that story. I'm gonna tell Hofstra that story in person at VCon, and Jones, if you're there too, obviously I'll tell you. All I'm gonna say is you're gonna like the story. It's a good story. The story's not going to underwhelm. If anything, it's going to overwhelm. And that was a hell of a night, and like a week-long period afterwards. But definitely a hell of a night. A night that I will not forget for sure. And not only because of the stand-up.
Great.
All right. So what do you got?
What I want to say to you guys is you guys got to do this show 2 to 4 days a week. Every single week. You have to get really good synergy, really good at the show. You got to get microphones. You got to get cameras. And at that point, you're going to be in good shape. Then you just start having the who's who of fighters, guys that are really good, but also guys that are coming up, because in that sport, it's so crazy. Things can change so fast, and a guy can go from being completely unknown to the talk of the town. And not only because of fighting, because of personality, the way that the league the UFC markets them and everything like that. And I think that you guys should have conversations with fighters and other people that are your guests that are different than conversations that they usually have on podcasts. I think you should talk about weird stuff with them. Don't let them go on crazy rambles about doing mushrooms in the desert or something. But I mean, like, if they had like some sort of thing go down where there was like a weird situation, like a beef at the gym, and just dig into it and all that stuff. And I realized that there's like the UFC doesn't want guys to talk about getting injured and they didn't have insurance and the UFC wouldn't help them out. So they had to do this, that, and the other thing to get care. But those are the interesting stories that people want to hear about. And at a minimum, like, if you're making content that other people aren't making, that's interesting. Like, it has to be interesting, right? But if it's different than what other people are making, no matter what, people are going to find it fascinating. So when Donald Trump went on Full Send podcast, that was the first time that a president did a long form podcast, because I think that thing was like 90 minutes or something. Sitting down with these podcasting bros, it's different. It's interesting, no matter how you spin it, So that's what I would love to see from you guys. And I'd love to see this become a podcast that MMA fighters like, yeah, I made the rounds, and that was one of the podcasts I went on.
Yeah. So no, thank you. I definitely have some favors I need to call in. So my laboratory does COVID testing.
Oh shit.
So who do you think called me every week, dude? When COVID hit, it was like I was selling crack, but it was COVID test.
All of
so I haven't called in any favors, but I'm like, look, motherfucker, I came in on fucking Saturday and helped you out. So you're going to help me out.
Dude, all of Jackson Wink, man. Yeah. But I mean, you guys have to be good and you guys are good, but I mean, like, you want to be as good as you possibly can be. Me and Nick are trying to get better. Me and Kicks are trying to get better. So, that's what I'd love to see from you guys. The number one thing is to do it all the time, because as soon as it's okay to take a few days off, or it's okay to take a week off, it's just it's just a wrap. It's the same thing as an NFT project. Once it's okay for an NFT project to not really have that much going on for 2 weeks, it's just dead, man. It's just a wrap.
Yeah, so we're doing Wednesday and Sunday as our commitment.
Nice.
We've been pretty consistent at that. I think this might be number 8 or so.
Nice.
But already lost count.
Yeah, so that's kind of our goal. We've actually got a couple, pretty cool people coming up. So far, I think, you're definitely by far the biggest, my favorite.
Only up from here then.
Only up from here. No, so ladies and gentlemen, this has been awesome. Pio Vincenzo. I don't know how to do the Italian thing, but am I saying that right? Vincenzo?
Yeah, man. Vincenzo, right? So you got it.
Put a little music in it. So Nifty Portal, check it out. Buy one of those. You will not regret it. I promise. This is, I'd say money back guarantee, but this is crypto. But definitely get in the portal. If anything, hop in the Discord, check it out. You will laugh your ass off. And definitely, so 7 a.m. is my time. I'm Mountain Time. So it'd be 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 Eastern time.
Yeah.
Every single morning, Monday through Friday. By far the best show on Twitter. Absolutely kill it every single day. I love listening. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been awesome.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me, and I hope to come on again when you guys have 10 extra audience.
There
it's gonna happen.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And so, yeah, again, thank you so much, Pio, for coming on. If you guys enjoyed the show today, make sure you tell a friend. Otherwise, like, comment, smash that subscribe button. And we're Web3 DJs. This is our good friend now, Pio. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace. See you guys later.